Hi, and welcome to Lunch Break, Season 3, and this is the kind of the celebration episode of the end of Season 2.
Yeah.
It's just, we're just here talking about kind of the progress of the show and where we've come from Season 1, moving on to, like, Season 2, and now going into Season 3. This is pretty exciting.
Nathaniel, it was exciting. But I know, Mike, when we were driving to Vegas a year ago, I think you've heard a little bit of the story. Mm-hmm. But as you got to get the feeling of Mike and I driving, I picked Mike up, and as we're driving, it's not a really lively conversation because I have something I need to break to him, but he already knew a little bit what I was going to talk to him about.
Oh, it was like super quiet and like kind of very serious. Like, like how often am I that serious?
Yeah, that's super rare for you.
I never shut up.
For Mike and I, that is like crazy weird. But I started, as we got to around Tehachapi, I said, Mike, we got some challenges this year, so we got to make some decisions. Should the show go on, or do we just call it a wrap? Because we were asked to disassociate ourselves with the audience that we had been, using. Mm-hmm. And so I told Mike, I go, we're going to lose J2, who is the co-host, and we're going to come into a new season with something brand new. What is it? So we talked about just the idea of, do we not do it anymore? Do we just...
Well, we were basically starting from scratch.
Yeah. Well, it was. And we had done a lot of work because we had a lot of good viewerships. Mm-hmm. We had kind of a brand that we were doing. We had a lead-in video. We had all these things. And so Mike and I were just kind of, really say, bummed.
Yeah.
Mike, I'm just, I don't know what words in your mouth.
I would say not quite this level, but like almost depressing.
It was. And so Mike and I were driving, and we did pray. Remember that, Mike?
Yeah.
We prayed.
And I'd been sharing a lot of this with Nathaniel at the time. He was very involved with this too.
So we prayed, God give us vision, and then it started to trickle. So if you're ever out there and you're at a place where you're stuck, you're at a crossroads. I mean, a lot of people say, well, you can pray. That is the key. So we prayed. We had a thought, and I threw it out at Mike. I go, what if we bring back some of our guests and make them hosts?
But what's cool is I think, and we experienced this just the other day on another thing on our drive, but God will confirm things.
Yes.
And like one of the ways He'll confirm things is by with you and another person putting the same thing on both of your hearts, and like it'll line up.
So as we did, we talked about how the commit would be to build the audience base, and it's so cool that a year later we're pulling the same audience base that we had last year, thanks to Alex and you, Nathaniel, and Mike, and all the hosts. Yeah. We're pulling that same audience. Now we're adding to it with YouTube. Yep. So it's almost like a double thing. We're adding shows to it. I mean, we got the Mike Harvey show now. We got Relative Rants. We're adding some shorts. I mean, just the ideas we started.
And there's several new things that are coming that we haven't announced yet that are really cool.
And I love the fact that we have everybody that's caught the idea too. Now, as Mike and I went over to Vegas, we started to do something, and I'll never forget this. So I do a TikTok every day, almost doing it for a year. This Thursday has been 1 year. Tiffany and Taylor, 1 year that I've been doing TikTok, and it's been fun for me. But Mike and I did a TikTok together over there, and I got 12 views, and Mike got like 400. And I was like, what's wrong with me? It was the same TikTok. But then
they like me more.
We also had a guest on there because we did a lunch break over there, and we had Tigo on.
Yeah.
Remember, Tigo encouraged us because she was tripped out that we were on season 2.
Yeah.
And we were thinking about it. We told her some of our ideas, and she goes, 90% of shows never make it to one episode. They'll film them, they'll buy the equipment, and then it'll stop. And she goes, you've already had a whole season. Then she says the other 20%, 15% only go through 7 shows. She goes, so you're already in the 5%. So it encouraged us. So if you're out there and you're doing something new, what you want to look for is just that little spark of encouragement. And the Bible says that the peace of God will rule your heart.
Well, but I think it's also having others around you that will lift you up and encourage you. And like when you're feeling down, they'll bring you up.
Well, as I look around here, Nathaniel, we have you. And you do an amazing job with your hosting. You got a great presence.
Oh, Nathaniel's a huge blessing.
He is.
So many levels.
We have Alex, who is our producer. We have Joanna, who is new on our show, and she's a technical. Then we have Adrian Monhay, that I think we asked Adrian, we'd like to be on, and Adrian's like, yeah.
I was like, sure.
Adrian's had it. Johnell jumped in, and then we have my daughter Taylor, who's been a creative consultant with my daughter Tessa for 2 whole years. And there, we all heard Taylor earlier just go into the daughter mode with me, and that's what she's been on our show. You know, she has. She's been.
corrected you.
They've been there. They're like, Dad, don't do this. Dad, don't do that. Then we have my lovely wife who's sitting there. She joined in, and my handsome son-in-law, Danny, who's jumped in. We have Kyle. We have all these people that have jumped in to co-host with us and now hosting shows. So, like Mike said, it's not just the idea, it's watching other people catch the vision, I think, Nathaniel. And so I think, Mike, did I leave anything out? Because I do know.
Well, I think there's a part of this that Nathaniel, because like, first of all, I gotta say, like, I love Nathaniel like a brother, and like I literally just today, I told him, like, okay, we're gonna. I won't give all the details, but I was like, Nathaniel, we're going to the next level of like what I try. Like, there's nothing I don't trust this guy with. He literally runs the company, right?
Mike is
behind the scenes person
always
always.
the boss. Just to clarify.
Yeah, just to clarify.
But Nathaniel's got a piece of this, like we were discussing today, like of like, you know, he has so much responsibility and so many things that most people don't get to see. But like, what were you sharing with me today?
I'm trying to remember that now. It's been a lot of
the
conversation today,
blessing
but no,
of, like,
it's been really cool being
the
able to
team
work.
building
Yeah, being
and-
able to work on the show, being able to meet a lot of new people. It's fun being brought in because it's kind of cool because you were here. You were the first person I know who worked on lunch break, and then you brought in Mike, and then Mike brought in me because everything that he gets into, I get brought into.
Yeah.
Everything I do, Mike gets naturally brought into. My wife
So
gets
by
brought
default-
into, Danny and Tess Taylor.
Nathaniel gets brought into everything you get brought into by proxy.
But it's been really cool, like being able to grow the team, being able to expand, being able to start all these brand new things that we're really excited to show. Like all that stuff is just so exciting, so much fun.
It's neat to be experienced the fact that we have other people that have commented about that. We were out at Adrian and Mike and I were out in I think Alex was out at the event for the officers, the police
911
officers, and we ran into Cindy Zimmer, who was a guest. She goes, I want to be back on your show. And it was like cool that people are just like
Approaching us.
Yeah, approaching us, going, hey, we like what you do. And just before tonight, we filmed Angelo Frazier, who's going to be our kickoff for season
Season
3, with our new guests, with a new format too.
Yeah.
So we do have a new format coming out. Mike wants to get a little more edgy out there and like to banter topics around. My son-in-law Danny likes to banter topics around and get a little edgy. And Kyle Lawson, if you haven't seen him on Relative Rants, you're missing something because Kyle brings that personality to Relative Rants. So it's really fun for me to bring people in and now take a couple steps back, and sometimes you guys don't let me get far enough back, dragging me in. But it's interesting because I think as somebody my age, I'm looking at leaving stuff that maybe will continue on.
And that brings us right into like what we wanted to really kind of talk
Yeah.
about with everyone tonight, which is talking about our favorite season 2 or even season 1 moments and shows
we go
and
out
stuff
then to
like
bring
that.
in
Oh, do you
season
want
one?
us to bring in season 1? Oh, I thought it was season. Is it just season 2?
Yes, season
All right.
2.
Well, then we're just gonna do season 2. So we're gonna go around and ask everyone what their favorite season 2 moment is, and I think we want to start with Kyle.
Well,
Yeah.
and it's even okay to pick the a segment that you hosted. I think that would be kind of natural. We're not trying to slide the scale. And then what Nathaniel and Alex and Mike and Joanna are going to do is they're going to put these videos up that you guys as our audience, because that's who we're doing it for, can watch them or rewatch them, and then maybe vote on your favorite episodes. Not just take the ones that we enjoyed being part of, but also pick the ones that maybe they liked and vote.
Yeah. So starting with this, let's start
Kyle,
with
you're
Kyle.
on, brother.
Yeah, so hold on. Did I hear someone say that my name is associated with controversial?
I think you did.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you've been around me longer than 30 minutes, you know that if there's a narrative that hasn't been addressed that can provoke thoughts or controversy, I'm hitting it.
Or bodily contact.
What's that?
Or bodily contact.
Yeah. Well, so naturally, I'm gonna have to be a little biased on this one, to your point you were just talking about, but for different reasons. It's not that I thought the show was great; it's what happened through the show. But there was a show that I did with Matt Muchler and Pastor Alberto, and what was cool is this thing started where we would just go to the gym, and I'm working out in the same gym as these guys, but not with these guys, and so we'd still hang out and kind of chat it up a little bit, and we'd had Matt on at one point. That was an awesome show. But we hadn't had Alberto. And so anyways, I'm like, and so we talked for about 5 to 20 minutes, just because you know how that goes, every morning at the gym. I'm like, well, we might as well just work out together. So next thing you know, we're working out together. Then the next thing you know, we're doing the show together. And then out of that, this relationship was cultivated through the show. The show was kind of like there, not that there was a wall, but there was a relationship that deepened through this show. And next thing you know, Adrian is texting me, or Matt and Pastor Alberto, they're like, oh, you know, I'm going to lunch with Adrian, or hey, I'm doing this with Adrian, and we're getting ready to do this city thing with Adrian. And I heard Matt's going, I'm like, dude, are you guys boys too now? And like, you know, for me, it's like, I see all of these things, this relationship that had been cultivated from the show, and it's just cool to see community. Adrian and I even went to the church, to Alberto's church, and that was a really special experience, right, Adrian?
Yeah, it was Matt Muchler's first time doing the announcements and really announcing Alberto as he came on stage. It was pretty cool. He was nervous, so when we rolled up, yeah, they rolled out the red carpet for us.
And say wherever Adrian and Kyle go, there's a party.
Oh yeah, yeah. We could get ourselves into some trouble. I took the last cup of coffee. I was like, oh, I show up to the church. I steal this guy's coffee. Oh, and then a funny story. I start playing racquetball with these guys, and it's like their whole church, and then me. I'm the only one that's not like in their church. I'm playing racquetball with these guys. Next thing you know, I hit Pastor Alberto's dad in the face with the ball. Literally, it was like I was hitting a home run. Nailed this dude's glasses off the top of his head. And I'm like, I'm never getting invited back. This is it. This is done. And I got invited back, but I will note that he hasn't came back. So I don't know what to think of that. But anyways, that was it for me. Yeah, that was it for me. And so that's more, like I said, selfish reasons, because I feel like the show really catapulted. It was almost like there was a relationship that existed. That's how they were, you know, got brought on the show. And then anyway, and I saw something, and I'm like, oh man, these guys are doing something. Their church is, you know, 7 months old. They grew to a few hundred people already. And so to have them on the show is a privilege. And then, like I said, that it just, our relationship really was cultivated after that.
Thank you, Kyle. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. Right on. So Nathaniel.
Yep.
What was your favorite episode?
Ooh, what was my favorite episode? It's got to be, and I know this is cheating a little bit, I am a big fan of any of the specials. Specifically, probably the one that I really enjoyed the most probably was either the New Year's special or the Valentine's Day special.
Oh my gosh, I knew you were going to Valentine's because I got in trouble with my wife on the Valentine's thing. Mike, I think you did too.
Oh, yeah.
I think you guys only got one right?
Well, I don't remember. It was just Ann and Tom that got everything right.
No, we tied with them, huh, Tiffany, didn't we?
Yeah, I think Mike and you and LaDavia won that one.
Oh, maybe we did. I don't know. I don't remember.
Tom and I were last.
but Tom recovered from one that I didn't recover from.
Gotcha.
But as someone who works from behind the scenes a lot, because I'm mostly behind the camera, I'm never really in front of the camera. So me and my crew is always behind, getting the camera set up, getting the mics, the lights, and all that stuff. Those were the most fun to work on, and actually hearing you guys talk and laugh and joke around, stuff like that. It was so much fun for us back there because we were having the time of our lives. It was a lot of fun. Yeah.
You know what? I think it was fun because we got to be ourselves. Got to let your hair down, and it was one of those moments because Kyle and Adrian hosted that one, I do believe. Yeah. And they asked us some pretty suspect questions.
They were all on the card, right, Kyle?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I'm not gonna lie, that was a very close tie for the other episode I just shared. And I'll tell you what, in hindsight, thinking about hearing these memories, I'm like, okay, that probably did take the cake, because Adrian and I were sitting there with a poker, just poking their relationships, and it was fun.
He was was putting us on the spot, literally, actually. Yep. I like that. So yeah. So Adrian, what was your favorite show?
You know, I have a lot of favorites, but I'm going to try to pick one because we brought in all kinds of cycling friends, all kinds of people in business. Yep. But the reason I'm picking this one show is because of the impact it's going to make on this one person's life.
Sometimes that's it, right, Adrian?
Yeah.
That one.
And it's really like the whole purpose for me of being on the show is to see the world around me radically transformed by the love of God, right? And so I'm out mountain biking, riding bikes all the time, and that's the end goal. and sometimes one person will get hit. And when we brought Ryan Abler on the show, Kyle Lawson and Ryan Abler got together to shock me. And it really did surprise me when Ryan Abler announced to everybody that the one thing nobody knew about him was that I was going to baptize him this year. And that blew me away, because that's what mattered to him in our relationship, that he wanted that to happen. And I'm super excited because in a couple days that is going to actually happen. But for me, that was the best show because of the result that's coming from that show.
I love it. And Adrian, something's happened to you this year that our audience may not know about through this year, that you and your wife Jennifer have a new son.
Oh yeah, we have a baby.
Through the second season.
Yeah, we have a 2022 model, baby boy Isaac. He was born 2 months ago, and he is a huge blessing. But yeah, we have a baby boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they said that those are the fun things too, because we get to grow as a family, Nathaniel, and we get to see that as part of what people are going through.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Right. Well, we can go with, actually, let's go with you. You're up
Go
here.
with me. Okay, put me on the spot. Now this is one that I could say I'm biased, and I would say
You never, Tom.
And I said I think I can, but I think I can be realistically, because I chose my guest host for the person that was going to be our guest wanted my wife to be our guest host, and I went with that because my wife has a very great presence. She's pretty, she's very smart, she's very articulate, and so as we had the Cindy Zimmer, who is Kern County's district attorney, and she came on our show, and I really got to see her kind of open up, because I think Mike, she was guarded, don't you think, Tiffany? Right when she was on the show in the beginning.
Yes. I would say she wasn't, sure what the show was about, or, if it was business or personal or.
Well, I think as we try to prep some of our guests, we tell them it's about you. It's an easy topic, it's about them. But I don't think they really believe us because they've been tricked too much.
You know what's funny is that's one of the most common compliments that we get after the show is, that was it?
Yeah.
That was so much fun. That was so nice. It was so nice just to open up and talk. Like, that's something that a lot of people don't realize until afterwards.
But it's funny because most people, because of that, come on being very
guarded,
like you said, guarded, nervous, or like
apprehensive.
Even we just did with Angelo, and very articulate, very well spoken, and someone who speaks in public a lot, right? But even he was like, "Well, what do you mean? We're and then it was.
Well, they think you're going to
trick them or trap
them or get them into something that's uncomfortable. So one of the things that I liked about what Cindy said was, she said that her mother had inspired her with faith as a young girl. And that had carried over into her being an attorney, bringing it into the being a DA. She said one of the coolest things was, and Tiffany, quote me if I'm wrong, make sure you tell me that, because I'm sure you will, is that she made sure she had an open Bible on her desk. Because I didn't look at my wife. Did she smile at me or what?
I'm looking at Taylor shaking her head.
Not smiling yet, Tom.
and so Cindy Zimmer said that she would keep an open Bible on her desk because her mom taught her that a closed Bible or an unread Bible does you no good. So she said she kept her Bible open on her desk, and then gave us an interesting comment, Tiffany. Didn't she say that all of her predecessors had conducted all the interviews about ongoing cases or verdicts in the DA's office, but ever since she had the open Bible on her desk, that no one has chose to film her in her office now. They have filmed her outside of her office. Is that true, Tiff? I think that was something she said.
Yeah. I think she said something like that, and I just know it was just, she was really inspirational about her cause and bringing justice for those who have no voice, and that really just was touching to me.
And I'll say for that episode, I think Tiffany was the icebreaker.
She was.
She was the one who got her to break loose and really start opening up during that episode. So I think everything you got was from Tiffany.
Yeah, I do too. I love it.
She got her.
But I think, though, Nathaniel, Mike, and all the rest, that is something that we choose guest hosts or host with.
Yeah.
is saying, hey, you're bringing something extra. And that's why, as our audience out there, we want you to know that we try to bring something to you that maybe you can learn from. Because I think, as we've talked about it, Tiffany's actually had 2 other episodes that she's done. So as you're out there, we're hoping they bring this candidness where the guests feel comfortable and open to share with it. Tiffany, anything about that episode that I missed on?
No, I think you covered it all. It was really good, and I think it got more into her personal life more than anything, which it was a turn that we didn't expect, and that was what was really inspiring about it all.
I think, to sum it up, I think the what she said at the end, because as she was opening up, she talked about going to a crime scene. And she went to this crime scene because she had heard over the radio, and she had heard that there was some minors that had been struck by a vehicle. And she went to the crime scene, and she was there, and she was standing next to the mother. Wasn't it the mother she was standing next to, Tiff?
Yes.
And as she was next to the mother, she just put her arm around her or consoled her and just, didn't know what to say, but she felt that God was pulling her there. I think that's the analogy I can get out of it. And then as she was there, the girl asked her what she did, and she felt that as she told her, I am the district attorney, that she didn't want it to turn into something organic. She just went there to be with them. She ended up next to the victim's mom, and she finally had to say, well, I am the DA. But I think it was important that there she was just a mom.
Yeah.
She was compassionate to somebody who just lost 2 family members, I believe, Tiffany. So it was really neat to see that we got a district attorney that has those compassionate moments, that gets involved and willing to bring justice for the constituents in Kern County.
Yeah.
That was a really good episode.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I really did.
It's always nice to have a DA.
Yeah.
We trust. Just in case we ever get in trouble, we're ready.
Yeah. Well, Johnell, let's bring you into that because as Johnell was on the show before Cindy, when they came together, they had this moment where Cindy knew Johnell. Do you want to explain to him what you guys talked about?
Yes. She pointed at me and she said, I know you. And I was like, yes.
Oh, God.
Yes, you do. And
You get that a lot, don't you, Johnell?
I do. Multiple times, right?
Yeah.
And she stopped me before I can get into exactly how, because she knew exactly how she knew me. And she gave me something, I believe, I don't even think she understand how much she gave me in that little moment. She said that those kids need fathers before they can stand before me. You need to be their fathers.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh man.
Yeah.
And that God did something, because I'm standing here talking to her free. And she does know me very well.
Yeah.
And
I think her comment was actually, you told her, I want to thank you for putting me in jail.
I did. I thanked her because I seen her at a Starbucks before, and I did. And I re-thanked her right there too, though, because it changed.
Yeah,
it did change.
I like
because she does have a voice.
Yeah, she does. and she was excited that you had changed teams.
Yes, yes.
Joanna, so let's go to you. What was your favorite episode?
That was one of them moments. And to see Cynthia in a different light, as well as she saw me, was crazy. She is a woman of God. I can really say that. Another, I'm bouncing between 2. The Father Day episode, where all of us were here, and Scott was actually in this seat.
Yeah.
He was just radiant like grandpa energy, you know.
He's not that old, man. Don't do that.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell him you said grandpa.
Yeah, tell him no, because he got jokes. I know he can shoot one back. And the one with Braden Gordon, the young man that I've been involved with, who's off playing football at a university right now, and just how it just comes back, like you pour in, not intentionally want anything back, but how the show has gave him back, because it stretched him, it made him get on the show. He accepted a call in, and he talked about how much faith it took because he didn't know he was going to continue school or continue at least playing ball. And he got to talk about it on the show. We went up to go pick up a donation check in Thousand Oaks. We talking about it, praying up there. We met Brad, who a lot of us know. Brad prays over it. By the time we get back to Bakersfield, he got four offers. Wow. He went up there with no offers. He comes back, and it was like, just to hear it, like, no, and to see the transformation, not just in yourself, but with the others that God allows you to see. You know, sometimes you don't get to see the fruit all the time, but I'm so grateful that he has let me see it in Braden and watching him talk on the show about his experience with God, and like it just is amazing.
It's great to have that. So we're going to bounce to Danny, because we had Danny on a show, and Danny got to share kind of his testimony. And as I know Danny, I had a lot of people comment back on me on how blessed I was for the son-in-law I did get, because it reflected back on Danny. Even his mom talked to me about the show and stuff. So Danny, you know, I know we can talk about your show, but what touched you about some of the shows you saw, or even your show?
So I'll back it up a little bit to kind of where it all started for me, kind of where I started getting pulled into this. And it's been such a blessing. But our little trip to Fresno to go see Charlie Kirk. And it was a great time for obviously me and you, Tom, but I see you all the time. So, you know, but really for me and Mike to start to bond and start that relationship with me and Mike, and then with me and Alex, and kind of all of us cohesively just fellowshipping in the Lord, in the podcast, and our little trip to In-N-Out and whatnot. So it was a lot of fun. That's kind of where it all started for me. That trip kind of manifested itself and I really started to see the fruit of this podcast and see, you know, it's much more than what meets the surface. And then my personal favorite kind of podcast, I guess, was with Fast Frankie. And I never met the guy. I would really love to. I've never met him, but his story is so powerful. From where he started, and no pun intended, to where he's finished. It's incredible. And you could really see the genuineness of him in his story, how sorry he is for his past mistakes. And he was very, very honest on the show. I mean, he didn't leave anything out. And just kind of how that turned into, you know, him being just a great cyclist and just cycling everywhere, you know, because he couldn't get a car. So I think that was so powerful, and I think that can be related to a lot of people, because a lot of people struggle with various things and they don't know how to channel that energy into something good and worthwhile. And he is, you know, a ticket to show you, hey, this can be done. And just with the Lord's provision and what the Lord gave him. And it was very, very inspiring.
Wow, that's awesome. And you know what he did last month, for the month of, I don't know when this is going to air, but for 1 month, the month of July, he rode 100 miles every single day.
What?
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
Every single day. It was insane.
I don't drive 100 miles.
Yeah, 100 miles
right.
a day for the whole month, the hottest month of the year.
Whoa.
And he did it. Like, it was
He smokes.
yeah, so he was on the news. He got an article in the newspaper. It was, I mean, he just doesn't stop. So that was one of my favorites too.
Yeah. There again.
I think I've rode 100 miles in my life.
I don't think I've thought about riding 100 miles in my entire life.
Me either.
I like it. Hey, Taylor, one of the things that we've enjoyed is having you as a creative consultant from day one. You know, that's been something that's been a blessing for me and my daughter, Tessa Touchstone.
Yeah.
Now, Danny, tell the audience what Tessa's doing.
Is he allowed to?
Tessa, my wife, she's supposed to be making dinner. No, I'm just playing. She's at work. She's working. we're currently in Tennessee right now. It's 10 p.m. at night, and she's at work. So that kind of gives you a little insight on how my wife is. A workaholic. And she provides for me.
So Taylor, tell us about your favorite episode.
Yeah, I think my favorite episode was with Pastor Alberto, as well as Kyle mentioned earlier. He just said a couple things during that episode that I kind of liked and kind of gave me, kind of an insight and some ideas of like how to change my methods of reaching out to people and spreading the gospel, because that is what God calls us to do. And I have quite a few friends, who don't believe, so it kind of gives me a kind of new idea to share this message. And I believe he quoted somebody else when he was talking about this in his episode, but he said, you don't need to change the message. You don't need to change the message. You have to change the method. So that kind of just, opened my eyes of there's other ways to reach people, and, kind of coming up with creative ideas to change ways how we spread God's words. It doesn't have to be one way and one way only. So I kind of liked what he said there, and just kind of thinking of new ways to do that. And I really loved when he talked about the vision of his church. And it's, I think, one of the most simplest but most important things. And he said that the vision was to love God and love people. That's it. And I really like that a lot.
It doesn't get deeper than that, does it, Taylor?
Mm-mm.
And what I love about this, Mike and Nathaniel, is that we as content creators, is that the correct word I'm using? We can learn from others. I see us here, I see Taylor saying, I wasn't on that episode, I watched the episodes, but I got something out of it. That's what we're hoping to do for our audience out there. As you're listening to us, we're hoping that something we're saying or something our guest is saying is going to get into your heart like it did Taylor's, and we're able to let it transform the way we deliver the gospel. We're able to realize that we've got a DA that we need to pray for. We have couples on our show that really don't know each other and need to be prayed for, and so that we go there. So Mike, Harvey, what is yours?
I had two. So
only two.
Well, probably more than two, but I had to break the rules a little bit, right?
You can, because you're the producer.
I have a little bit
boss.
Of creative liberties.
You do, right, Nathaniel?
Well, sometimes I think he's my boss, but sometimes he thinks he's my boss too.
Alex is shaking his head, so is Joanna.
But two. Number one was Joe Petersen.
I love Joe.
And I was a spectator on that one. But Joe was very inspirational, and I always like, and we get a lot of cycling guys in there because of Adrian.
I don't know why.
Yeah. But
well, if you haven't seen Adrian's episode,
that was season one, right?
Yes, it was season one.
Yeah.
That's pretty inspiring.
But it was cool watching Joe because like the things that he's accomplished and the things that he's pushed through. And the title of that episode was "Let Go and Let God," and I thought that was probably one of the most inspirational, like motivational. Of course, like I'm high energy, kind of like high achiever anyway. Tom, we've talked about that many times, but like watching someone that's achieved things that I'll never achieve, right? And like how many didn't he ride his bike across the U.S. like multiple times, Adrian?
Yeah, he's a multiple
and like won that
finisher.
race multiple times, right?
Yeah.
And even like with like maybe broke his leg or something like that, and then
he ripped the tendon in his ankle and just kept going. He
but he didn't even know it, right?
He crashed, fractured his neck, and kept going.
He said he found out that fracturing his neck helped him because he could get lower on the bike.
Yeah.
I go, if you're going to be an optimist, you might as well have.
It was insane.
But that was very, very cool, that episode. And then the other one was one I got to do with Adrian with Sam Ames.
Yes.
And that episode was really, and to see like Sam's done so many things in his life, but again, another like inspiring person that's accomplished so many things in his life, right? And it was a good friend of yours, Adrian.
Yeah, and he did that episode with like 2 hours of sleep.
right.
Yeah,
that's just
3 days.
Well, usually Adrian's friends are coming in from a bike ride, riding 100 miles a day, or with 2 hours sleep. So we did also have something on this Petersen show. There was a challenge thrown out.
No? Yeah?
Yeah, there was a challenge.
Oh,
You
that
made
was
the
Kerry
challenge?
Ryan. That was
Kerry
Kerry Ryan's
Ryan's
show.
I was trying to think, where are you going with that?
No, you're right, Adrian.
Yeah.
What was the challenge?
Well, Mike Harvey said that he could quickly get on a bike with a little bit of training and just ride bikes with me. I won't say what else he said, but I'll just protect him and say he could ride with me.
But
Has that
Adrian,
happened yet?
I'm not anywhere close to as fast as you, but do I have the endurance?
Yeah, he did actually complete a 44-mile ride.
Oh wow.
So are you checking the box that challenge has been met?
No, not yet.
I would say he almost did it.
But would you say that I'm capable of doing it?
Oh yeah, I think he is capable of almost doing it.
Almost
The nicest way you.
What was the phrase that Kerry Ryan came up with? Baby bike rider.
Oh, the baby bike rider. I think you came up with that, Tom.
I would like to ride more. I just I have so many things going on in my life that I can't take on another thing, and I'm just like, I wish I could. I have no.
So
almost
I
no
guess we
margin.
could say, don't pop off and say you can do something if you don't have the
Oh my
time. to
No,
do
I
it.
could do the thing I said I could do.
Mike, I'm not telling you to get a new hobby.
It's all right, Tom.
I'm just
it's
saying
all
I
right.
don't have time to take on a new hobby.
Mike and I do this all the time. So Alex, so you're the behind-the-scene guy.
Yes, I am.
You make the magic happen.
Yes.
Give us an idea of what you thought.
The person who edits all these videos.
I know.
I
The
have
one
to
who
memorize
You
practically.
get tired of them.
He has to
I'm
watch
sure.
them multiple times through.
Yeah, everyone so we're like, oh, watch time this, watch time that. I'm like, well, I'm 100%. So what are you guys complaining about? So,
Right.
So what have you found out, or what did you think about it?
so one of my favorites was loosely related. So you guys like things with 2 wheels. I like things with 4 wheels. And so Shane DeBerti was one of my favorites, and that gives me a segue to sneak in Doug DeBerti.
Yeah.
And I didn't know, because I love racing video games, that it's the DeBertis who have cars in actual Forza.
Oh yeah.
And so I was like, wait, like these DeBertis? And so I really want to get Shane, Brad, and Doug all on a show sometime.
Oh, that'd be cool.
There's a call out there, Shane, Brad, and
Yes.
Doug.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
would love that.
There's a call out, and my son-in-law Danny, he's off the air now. He's got a couple questions for you, Doug, about trucks.
Yeah. But yeah, those the DeBertis in general, those were my
Yeah,
favorites.
that was a cool episode because that was one of their revenues is that they make the cars and then those cars become the models for the video games. I
Yeah.
was like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
They make
It's
money
super
off
cool.
of making those awesome cars.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy.
Yep, that's awesome. So Joanna's probably still on air because we're having a technical difficulty.
Oh,
real
and
quick.
she loves us calling on her.
Yes. Joanna, this
Yeah.
was Joanna, you talk too much. What's going on?
Sorry,
Joanna,
I
just
know.
got to tell you that you are the backbone of the things that Mike is trying to do. I mean, I love the email. Today's email, Mike, I thought was sensational. Speaks to my life each and every time. Yeah, you know, it's because there again, you're being transparent in your emails. But Joanna is the one that's actually.
Well,
putting
you
it
know
in.
what I love is Joanna's 17 years old, right? And I was telling Nathaniel today, there's nothing that I can give her that she doesn't like excel at, right? So I asked her to do this thing, and I won't go into detail about what it is, but I said, hey, can you do this? And we need 10 of X to be done. So she comes back and she's like, hey, so I did 40 of those. I was like, oh, of course you did.
Overachiever.
Yes.
Like Nathaniel and Alex.
But there's nothing I hand her or ask her to do that she doesn't excel at.
Well, we do need to interview her.
We
so
do.
I think that's going to be one of the favorite episodes of season
She's like,
3
no.
when we put her on there. Because, I mean, I know just a little bit. I mean, I've been to her house with her enormous family that is bigger than mine. I was kind of jealous.
I thought you guys were like equal.
Oh, no. So when they showed up to church, I seen the white van. I was like, they have a white van just like us. And I was like, that's
So
cool.
is that motivating you and Jennifer?
Oh, yeah.
Motivating you?
We've got to keep going.
So Joanna, give us your impression. What do you think about the shows, what we do, and do you have a favorite episode?
Honestly, my favorite one, and I'm not saying this because Nathaniel said it, but my favorite is actually the Valentine's Day special. Yeah, that one was it was fun to watch. I think I probably watched it like 3 times. That's probably like way too many, but it was just like,
No, it was.
I
funny.
just like, yeah, like the way you and Kyle hosted it, that was just perfect. And then
we
I
had a
just
lot
like,
of fun there.
I liked seeing all the couples like engage and have fun. It was a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure Kyle did some investigating before the episode because he knew exactly where to nail Tom Hollenbeck and Justana. He knew exactly what to say to make Tom Hollenbeck red. So it was funny. I was laughing.
That was my favorite, probably.
Yeah.
I like it. So, well, I'm here at the table by myself now because we have Mike and Nathaniel doing some technical work. And as we're kind of summing it up, guys, Adrian, maybe throw us a last comment out.
I mean, for our audience, like if you're watching all these shows, we have all these awesome hosts that are jumping in, and you're probably thinking it's cool to watch, but they can be part of this.
Yes.
Like they can be part of it in a big way, not just by liking or sharing or commenting or anything like that, but I mean, if you think of something, join in.
Yeah.
Send us an email, send us a message on Instagram or Facebook. But you guys are one of the biggest reasons we do what we do.
Yeah.
Because we know what we're doing impacts you, and by it impacting you, it impacts our lives.
It does. And I'm going to ask Mike Harvey to come back over because we're going to talk about season 3 now.
Ooh,
and part of our
3.
ideas about season 3 for our audience is the fact that we're going to bring in a little more edgy topics because as we have our hosts and we have our guest comes back, we're going to ask what our guest is passionate about. Because I do believe all of our guests have a purpose. Now, I've been talking a lot about this on Mike and my leadership series that we do, that a purpose is input, passion's output. So you first, I talked to Johnell about this today, that our purpose comes in, but you can't be passionate about something without purpose. So Mike is going to bring in purpose.
Yeah.
We talked to Angelo Frazier tonight about purpose that brings about his passion.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is some community.
And truth.
Yes.
We talked about truth.
Yes. And so as some of these guests come back on, we're going to ask.
We're going to get more topical.
Yeah, we're going to get more topical and then find out what stirs their juices.
Right.
What gets them excited, because purpose is great. You got to have purpose, but you got to be passionate. I mean, Adrian's got a purpose of bike riding, spreading the gospel. That makes him passionate. Johnell's got a purpose where he wants to get into foster children's lives using shoes and mentorship. That gets him a passion. Mike, you and I are about getting content out. That's our purpose, which gives us passion. So we're going to get into the guest, finding out what their purpose is and what their passion generates.
Well, we've got a lot of things. We got new shows coming.
Yeah.
We've got our emails that we do every day,
Yep.
like you mentioned before. There's a lot of things that, for me, what it is, and we talked about this just in the car ride the other day, is making an impact for the future society that my kids, Adrian's kids, Johnell's kids, Alex's kids will be going into.
Yep.
Right?
So there again, check us out because, as we do end up the show, we're going to hit a dog, and I think probably I'm going to get it.
You're going to hit a dog, Tom?
Well, let's not hit the dog,
Let's
Tom.
not
With what?
edit, cut. We're not hitting dogs
we're
on
not.
lunch break.
We don't do that here.
No, we don't. Our dog is Marilyn, and Marilyn's a female. She's good with dogs, she's good with cats, and she is good with kids. She is a wonderful, I'm kind of just making stuff up now. No, I'm not. Marilyn is a stunning 6 to 7 year old border collie mix. She's energetic, playful lady, and loves to play with her rope toys and bones. As with any working breed, she requires some exercise, and if you need exercise, you might want to join in with Marilyn. She needs a routine and attention. She's a happy dog who loves kids to all ages. Is cat friendly, Mike? It's cat friendly, so we don't have to worry about testing this dog.
We don't have to test
It's cat friendly and would make a perfect family dog. She would be great as an only dog or with another dog that matches her energy style.
It's just great all around, dog.
Yep, and she's up to date with her vaccines. And it says, please check with your landlord if you have one, because before applying.
Apparently, this must have been a problem.
Yes, because we've been hearing this about Lucky's Rescue. We want to thank Meredith Carter John Haddad for opening up 3J's Ranch and providing a place that dogs can, Lucky's Rescue, and they have a closed colony, so you don't have to worry about their dogs, that they aren't exposed to anything, or their cats, or their horses, or whatever else John gets inspired to bring into his ranch. So want to thank you with that. Anybody want to close this up? Anybody at all? Johnell?
Johnell's got something, I could tell. Just do it, Johnell.
Close up, man. Tune in. Season 3 is going to be amazing. The topics are going to get edgy, like you guys said, and the guests will be amazing. Yeah. And like Adrian said, email in questions and or want to be involved.
And you know what? I want Johnell, because you just did some big things, right? And there's something that you and I, Tom, and several of us here are very devoted to and very involved with, support in multiple different ways with Kicks for Kids. Share some of what you're doing there, real quick, Johnell. Just like a 2-minute version.
Mike, put me on the spot.
It's on your shirt.
It is. Kicks for Kids is it's a mission, it's a purpose, like Pastor Tom was talking about. Just recently in 2 cities, including ours, Bakersfield, we gave away a sum total of 2,183 pairs of shoes.
Good shoes too.
Do they have a street value, Johnell, or do you know a number?
I do know a number. It's fairly large.
That's awesome.
It's around $87,000 worth of shoes.
That's awesome.
Crazy thing, these shoes go out to, like you guys say, foster kids from the inner city. Even kids within the church, the body church, not just a single church, but it's crazy how impactful the shoe is, because it opens up conversation. It actually opens up to the services, like us getting involved in the lives.
What we need to do, Johnell, is have you and Tiffany come back on and talk about how it's impacted her school.
Oh yeah, tremendously, right? Tremendously. It could be a gateway to the country.
Yeah, it could be. I love that, Johnell. Yep. Hey, starts with a vision, doesn't it, Johnell?
It does.
And you got to just
literally started with a vision.
Yeah, and you just keep going. So we're gonna put that episode up there. Season 3. Get Johnell and Tiffany back on. I don't have to be a host. My wife would probably prefer it. So all right. So Mike, I've loved being partnering with you and your company, and I'm glad we had our trip to Vegas.
Yes.
That we couldn't imagine what would have happened, and so we're looking forward to season 3. Hope you guys are too.
God bless.
God bless.